This conference will now be recorded.
The date is August 4th of 2020. And these are the instructions on how to fill out the 2020 Fall Basketball Challenge roster and final scores form. Now, this form applies to the 2020 Fall Basketball Challenge for both the adult-aged and school-aged seasons. First, you will want to fill in your delegation name at the top of the screen. So you can type in, we'll use as an example, we'll say the Great Falls Dragons. LPC name, Joe Blow. LPC phone number, 406. How's that song go? 8675309. There we go. LPC email, we'll say jblow@gmail.com. And then LPC mailing address. Now we're asking for your mailing address in the event, and so we can send out our PPE request form equipment that we sent to you guys just to confirm your guys' mailing address here. So the LPC mailing address, or the address that the PPE equipment should go to, and we'll put 100 North Montana Avenue, Great Falls, Montana 59403. Okay, so basically we at this point we have filled out the top section with all the relevant information that we at Special Olympics Montana are going to need. One thing to note here is when this form is filled out for both the roster and the final scores date, it needs to be submitted to SOMT Sports Director Scott Held at sheld@somt.org. Now we're going to move into actually how to fill out each section of this form. The first section you come to is the volunteer section. Now the volunteer section, the title here says list the first and last name of every registered volunteer that will be assisting during the 2020 Fall Basketball Challenge. Now these are registered volunteers with paperwork on file at Special Olympics Montana that need to be put in this section. This section is also due at the roster date for both the school and adult-aged seasons. So here in this section, we would list some names. So Sally Jones, Robert Red, just basically any registered volunteer that is a part of your delegation goes into this section. And that is it. That is all the information we need. We don't need a role. We just need the registered volunteer's first and last name. Now moving down to the athlete sections, there are two sections. There's the compete from home level section and the level 1 through 4 section. First, with the compete from home level section, the only section that is due at the roster date is this blue section right here. The green section, which we'll come back to in a little bit, is due at the final score date. But at the roster date for your athletes who may be choosing to compete from home because they are higher risk or because they're not comfortable going out and coming back and just being around folks at practice in a practice and competition setting, all you have to do is list the athlete's first name and last name, of course. So Lou Jones. Okay, boom. And that is the extent of all we need at Special Olympics Montana at the roster date, as we will input names into the computer for your athletes. Now the compete from home level is essentially a participation-based level, so that is why we only need the names for these athletes. The next section due at the roster date is this orange section for the level 1 through 4 athletes. The gray section is due at the final scores date. So as we're on the roster date, we're going to focus on this level 1 through 4 section on the orange section itself. So what we have to do with the orange section here is you can see there's a couple examples that you'll have to work off of. But right here, you just have to list the athlete's first and last name. So we'll go Sarah Red. Now that Sarah Red is in there, we will now move over to this one, and this is where you will assign your athlete a level for them to be divisioned with. So as you can see here, it says which level, select one, and then the little section here says utilize the levels in the game's info packet to assign a level. So the game's information packet that was distributed to LPCs and is available on the Fall Basketball Challenge webpage at somt.org has descriptors at the beginning of each section of the levels in the rule book. Go find the rules in the level that best fits each athlete in the descriptors. And once you have a section that you feel best fits each athlete, assign that athlete that level. So for Sarah Red, we'll say that you as the LPC went in and decided that Sarah Red is a level, we'll say is a level 4 athlete. So boom, you would just fill in level 4, and that is all that is due at the roster date. So all of your athletes go here, first and last name, and all of the levels that you're assigning them to go here. Now, for the information that is due at the final scores date, we'll pop back up here for the compete from home level section. The compete from home level section, there are 4 main sections of activities that the athletes need to complete in order to receive their award. If they complete all 4 sections, so as you can see here, the sections are divided by that black line in the cells I'm moving back and forth between right now. If they complete all 4 sections, they receive a medal. If they complete 3 or less of these sections, they receive a ribbon. Now keep an eye on this total box here as I go in and type in scores. So we'll say Lou Jones at home was completing the stationary pass and had a score of 14 points. Boom. If you look at that section, it automatically totals it for you. As long as you have a compatible version of Microsoft Excel, it should do this. If not, you may need to manually add your own scores. They'll say Lou then decided to do the speed dribble and received a 10. You see that adds up to 24 on the far right. Lou decides to do the garbage can shot and scores an 8. And then Lou does the traditional run and scores a 20. And then Lou at that point has now finished with 52 total points for the entirety of that. And that is all you need to submit for Lou. So as long as Lou, whichever section he completes, you go ahead and fill in the score for that section for the activity that he completed. Now, down to the level 1 for 4 section. Oh, and one thing we should note is for both sections, we want only the athlete's best score submitted. As you can see here where it says submit the athlete's best score. We only want the athlete's best score, not the average of 3 scores or their 3 best or their 3 lowest. Literally just the best score that the athlete was able to earn or was able to produce at practice, in competition, or at home. Now down here for the level 1 through 4 section, there are 4 different activities for levels 3 and 4 and 3 different activities for levels 1 and 2 that your athlete should be completing. As you can see right here, we have event number 1, which are the passing events, event number 2, which are the dribbling events, event number 3, which are the shot events, and event number 4 for athletes in levels 3 and 4, which are the free throw and 3-point shot. So the extracurricular events there. And as you can see here, that box that I'm just highlighting says leave event number 4 blank for athletes who are competing in level 1 or 2. So in this case, Sarah Red was completing in level 4, and we'll say Macy Red was competing in level 1. Okay, so we have an example of both to show you guys here. Okay, so Sarah, we'll say Sarah came in, and as she was competing in level 4, she would have been completing the movement bounce pass. So she scored 12 points. We'll just say, this is just an example. For the dribble, she was competing in the agility dribble and scored 15 points. For shot, since she's in level 4, she would have been completing the mid-range shot. We'll say she scored 10 points. And for event number 4, since Sarah was in level 4, she would be completing the 3-point shot. We'll say she scored 9 points for a total of 46 points. Now Macy, who's completing in level 1, will have been completing first off the closer stationary passes. That's the passing event for level 1. we'll say Macy scored a 2. For event number 2, the assisted speed dribble is the dribbling event for level 1. Say Macy completes and scores a 16. The shot event would be the garbage can shot for level 1. So we'll say Macy scores a 12. And then leave that 4th cell blank, as athletes in level 1 do not compete or complete a 4th event in level 1 and 2, as that is not available. That is only available for athletes who are in levels 3 and 4. Now go through and complete that for every athlete on your team. And again, submit the best score only. If you have any questions as you complete this registration or this roster and final scores form, feel free to reach out to SOMT Sports Director Scott Held at sheld@somt.org, or give the office a call at 406-216-5327. And when the directory pops up, just make sure you dial Scott's name in, and then that should direct to his phone, and he will be able to answer any questions you have. Thank you, and good luck.